What's going on YouTube? This is Bamster Max Gaming here with a long overdue review. Not only in the uploads, because it's been a minute since I last uploaded, almost 2 months, for Adventures of Elliot and my initial thoughts. But this game I actually picked up a day after its release, and it's been 2 years, and I've been meaning to do a review video for this, but it just got backlogged. So before we get started, hit the like button, comment, subscribe, all the goodies. Today we're talking about Octopath Traveler. Let's dive into it with the backstory. So, backstory for this, like I said, I played Octopath Traveler 1. I loved it. It was great fun. Pumped about 80 hours into it. It was a great game. Storyline was a little bit like... The story had kinks and issues in it. But I understand, given the nature of the game, that it's very hard to execute that sort of storytelling flawlessly. Like you're almost spending a bulk of the space in that dev to what ifs and contingencies for dialogue, and I don't think that's a really great way to build a game out. I don't know about you, but for me, yeah, it's not the best way to build a game out. So yeah, the storyline being a bit more statuesque, robotic in the first iteration wasn't lost on me, and that's something that I noticed as well. In the second, they've nailed that, and I'll get to that in a moment. But played Octopath Traveler 1, loved it. Picked up Octopath Traveler 2 a day after its release, and when I mean picked up, I ordered it beforehand. It's one of the few games I've pre-ordered, and it just arrived the day after. And started playing through it. I was juggling between that and Persona 5, and then Tears of the Kingdom came out, and this got pushed to the backlog. And I regret pushing it to the backlog, because I could have played through this 5 times by now, and had this as the only game I'm playing for a minute, a long minute, because it's stunning. This game is amazing, and this is where we'll dive into the actual review. Let's talk about the visuals. Look at that scene between Hikari and Ritsu, his colleague, I guess you can say, at that point in the game. And then this here, as you're walking through the battlefield leading up to the Kingdom of Ku. This is amazing execution for 2D HD. I don't care what you say. Like, compare this to Dragon Quest III HD 2D, and this blows it out the water. And this is one of the more average depictions and flexes of the grasp of 2D HD as a visual storytelling form and evocative format. Square, the team that handled this at Square, nailed this. You're not seeing this with Dragon Quest III HD 2D. I guarantee you're not going to see it with 1 and 2 HD 2D remakes. I didn't see this with Unicorn Overlord, which is a Atlas attempt at HD, like 2D HD. They nailed it. And like I said, this is just the average. There's so many like cutscenes that are cinematic, that have characters moving around, performing actions that are more evocative than this throughout each of the 8 storylines. That's just, it is what it is. I can't lie to you. I'm going to be honest. The crescendo, the pinnacle of this, in my opinion, is when you play through all the story and you get to the final arc. There's a character in that sacrifices themselves to sort of awaken the final antagonist, and the scene of them leaning back and falling into a pit, which is the sacrifice in question, is one of the most, the best executed renditions of that form of sacrifice that I have ever seen. And I've seen a few that are similar to that within the cinematic sphere in movies and such. It was evocative, and it was like, they nailed it. The animation of the guy like falling back, capturing the soles of his feet as he leans back to fall into the pit. Chef's kiss. So yeah, graphics amazing, but it's Octopath. They're good with their graphics. It is what it is. The soundtrack is amazing as well. You're listening to the theme in the background. This is like, again, these are all opinions that I've shared about Octopath Traveler, the original soundtrack, and that is amazing too. Some of the tricks that they use in the storytelling of the music, for example, the transitions from a cutscene in a chapter to the boss fight, it will generally crescendo and then lead straight into the boss fight, almost seamlessly. And I have, again, same thing, yet to experience a game that has executed it as well as both the Octopaths. Octopath Traveler 2 just does it better. The final boss fight, the one where the guy sacrifices himself by falling into the pit. I don't want to spoil it too much, but that scene that leads up to it, it's got about 6 tracks that encapsulate that final fight, right? You got the one in the map as you're traversing to that spot, plays through. I mean, you can go back and say 8. So you have one where you use the music as a bit of a hint to direct you to where you need to go to sort of unlock that final boss fight. I don't want to spoil it too much. It has something to do with that flame there that you see on the left-hand side of the screen. But nonetheless, that music plays. You get to the final boss zone, like the area on the map. They have a song that plays as you're walking through. They have the cutscene where the guy sacrifices himself, that has music too. Then they have the first introduction. They've got transition phases for each of these as well, just bear that in mind. They have the first introduction of the boss, which is one of the most amazing orchestral renditions of music in a video game I've ever experienced. Have this guy singing, I think he's a soprano, like nailing high C5s. And then like the way in which they use percussion and horns to sort of like decompress down from that crescendo of the high C5. They do that a couple of times in this song too. Go and download the soundtrack. You know what I'm talking about when you get towards the end of the soundtrack itself, before they start playing like different covers of some of the songs, like the Kate's theme and things like that. But that transition then transitions to like a rock version of that, like a metal version of it. It's just got like insane drumming in it, crazy licks with the guitar, and then of course you still have the dude, like the soprano, busting out those high C's as well, and he sustains them. I don't know how he managed to do that. His face would have been blue like a blueberry. But it is just, whoa. Music was one of the big things for this, because they did it well in Octopath Traveler. They did it better in Octopath Traveler 2. So visuals, game, music, stellar. Mechanics for this, awesome. You've got your sub jobs like you see here, but each of the characters, they have a day and night cycle that's not just superficial in this. I think that's been mentioned before, but it's not just like at night time you see slightly different villains or monsters pop up that you have to defeat, all that crap. No. This has utility. So what I mean by that is each of your characters have skills outside of battle they can use. For example, Hikari can duel people during the day and bribe them at night time. Let's talk about Throne. Throne can steal and pickpocket people during the day. At night time, ambush them and knock them out. Agnia allure people, recruit them into her party, like a sub-party that she can call upon in battle, either passively or actively. And then also entreat, which to me is like her busking and then going through people's pockets for the tips for busking. It's pretty cool. And then same thing for Particio. At night time can recruit people, during the day can purchase things out of people's inventories, the NPCs that is anyways. And you'll have other jobs as well, like Oswald has the interrogate during the day, for example, and at night time you can mug, so rob people basically. Nonetheless, it adds an element to the game that gives you a bit more flexibility with your parties as you interact in certain towns as well. Before, you'd almost always have what was her name? I can't remember. The merchant in Octopath Traveler 1 in your party, so that you can trade and buy people's items, or you get Therion and you pickpocket them if you have a high enough level, right? So this gives you the ability to basically run almost anyone in your party, and at any given time, and still have access to NPCs' items as well. So that's really cool. Battle mechanics, that Octopath Traveler, the original, was perfect. This just, you can't perfect perfection, right? So that's awesome. Then we get down to the final tack. I want to spend a minute on this, which is the story in this. I don't want to spoil it too much, which is why I'm not going to spend as much time on it. But Octopath Traveler 1, like I said before, it had its limitations with regards to the format of the game and how you can accurately and effectively convey a story of 8 people traveling together and interacting with one another. Octopath Traveler 2 fixes that. And not only do they fix it, in my opinion, they nail it. You're not going to get Kojima levels of storytelling here. This isn't going to be a Sam Porter Bridges or a Solid Snake or Big Boss backstory. You have to understand they tell those stories, or Kojima tells those stories over multiple titles. And it focuses on one character. This is 8 characters in the course of one game, where each game operates in a world that's independent of the other. They might have little cookie crumbs here and there, but that's it. They nail it in this, as far as the storytelling medium goes. They have the characters' overarching tales, sure. Each of the chapters, they do a really good job with that. Scaling's pretty good in it as well if you grind properly, which I might make a video on how to grind properly in this as well, but there are tons of videos out there that do a good job of that. They have the dialogue between the characters in your party, and you can refer back to them in the journal if you missed any dialogue with other characters, which is pretty nifty. Then they have cross paths. Now, cross paths convey that story between 2 characters. In the case of Hikari and Agnia, for example, you have the warrior and the dancer where they're talking to a lutist. Almost all of these stories, there's cross paths. They have 2 parts for each of them. I won't go too much detail beyond there. Once you complete all of those and all the character stories, they all converge to an overarching story arc. And that's that final boss that I was talking about with the music and the animation of the sacrifice and such. Absolutely stunning. So, that minute spent, I just want to give you my overall verdict. This is an 11 out of 10. I'm spinal tapping it. It is what it is. You know, hate me if you want. Spinal tapping it. It was stunning. I highly recommend you pick this game up. Preferably on sale because it's an older title. Wait until it's on sale and pick it up. Or pick it up before Traveler 0. You're going to love it. If you haven't played it yet, you've been hiding under a rock. You need to get into this. I was hiding under a rock with this in my backlog, and I feel stupid for doing so. So, 100% get this game. And when you do it, kick back, relax, get cozy, put a pair of track pants on if it's winter where you are now. Get real comfortable. Pull out whatever controller or console that you're playing it on. In my case, it's going to be a Switch. Get cozy. Start mashing some buttons. I'll see you all for the next video. This has been Bamstamax Gaming. Like, comment, subscribe. Be easy, stay safe, and just be a little bit more pleasant to everyone in your day-to-day. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.